Phil, he's in. So we've just been for lunch. We've had a good start to the day. We're full, belly's full. We're ready and raring to go for this. How's things, mate? How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, it's been a good afternoon. This is beautiful sunshine. For people that are only listening and maybe not seeing the video, we're parked up at Adelaide Oval. Without a doubt, this is definitely one of my favourite sports. I'm not biased because I'm here and been here for a long time, but this is definitely one of my favourite venues of sport. I have not played out in the middle, and you have. Is it as spectacular out in the middle as it is out here?
Yeah, it was obviously very different this year with not as many fans allowed in, but some of the games we had the year before, I think we got 55,000 or something to the New Year's Eve game. That was incredible. We got good crowds this year, but then there's nothing quite like it when it's packed. I've never played it anywhere even remotely similar to this bar. Maybe we had a game, the PSL opening match. I think it was not last season, the one before. That was 45,000 and pumping. So no, I've not played at too many places similar to this.
Yeah, well, obviously you're travelling around doing a lot of franchise cricket. You're playing for multiple different teams. We'll get into what it's like, sort of life on the road. For most of the people that are going to be listening to this, I know where you've come from. It's actually a really unique story, like your upbringing, where you come from, and I want to go into things like character and enjoyment in sport. But before we go into anything, let's go into how you started in cricket, where you came from, and then sort of your early years of getting into the game and where the enjoyment started to come from. So I'll let you start wherever you want to start, mate.
Okay. So my first sort of experience of cricket was when my brother took me down to the local cricket club in North Wales.
Yeah.
That was where I first started playing the game. Had no sort of real interest in it at the time, early doors. It was just more like go and have a slog and have a crack on. I was playing football at the time, and football was far and away my favourite sport.
Did you play other sports?
Yeah, I played a few other sports.
Yeah.
Mainly football. Football was my number one. But I've sort of dabbled in a bit of everything, to be honest.
Yeah.
My brother's a much better tennis player than I am. But I played a lot of tennis growing up. There's even the YouTube clip of the American football.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that.
Have you not seen it?
No.
You want to go on YouTube and type it in. I'm not going to say what you need to type in because people might have a look at it. It's mortifying. But it's a game where I played in the UAE, which was a belter. So yeah, I've played a few different sports. Table tennis is a big one.
How far did you go with table tennis? I say I played table tennis.
I'm pretty good though.
I literally played it at school and that was it.
Yeah, no, that's where I got it from school. No, I dabbled in a bit of everything, like even a bit of rugby and stuff like that, hockey. Because I love sport, to be honest. Growing up, that's all I wanted to do. So yeah, mixed in and out a bit. Then moved to Barbados, and that's when the football probably dropped off, and the cricket took front seat. And then I was out there for a few years, and then I got a scholarship to a school in Surrey in the UK, and came over there and trialled plenty of times. I think I was trialling 3 times a year. To get to the Surrey age group set up, doing all the stuff like buying the kit at the start of every season, hoping that you get a crack, and never got a crack. And then I think it would have been 4 years that happened. I kept trialling 3 times a year, never got a crack. And then Sussex, I played an under-17s game, and then I played a second team game at the end of the season after that. And then I was signed on the academy at Sussex, and then I think I was in the academy for 2 years, and then I got signed pro off the back of that.
Yeah, I mean, for those listening, I was actually a squad member when you first turned up. I was in that second team game when you first played. I remember you coming and like, I remember the first time I saw you was when you were just in the net. You were in the indoor training facility. You were in the nets and you were whacking it. Like you were just going. I was like, this guy's going. He's clean hitting these balls, but like there doesn't seem to be much. I'll be honest, there wasn't like much sort of technical. It was just pure striking of the ball. And I was like, this kid has got something that other people can't do, which is whack it and hit it hard. And then seeing you progress over the years, once you start getting into a pro arena and then technique started, you actually started thinking about the game, figuring it out, and then, geez, you're where you are. Just going back on that, I didn't know you trialled so much. I didn't know you'd done all that trialing.
I trialled so much.
Just 4 years of trialing, like persevering away. That's a lot of perseverance.
Yeah, it was. I don't think you can say it was tough because you just I wanted it so much. I don't think you can say it's tough and I was persevering through it. I just wanted to do it. I never thought of. Maybe the first couple times that I got the no, I was like, well, this is no good, is it? But then I was never allowed to dwell on it. By Keith Medlicott. He was a pro at Reeds, and I was never allowed to dwell on it because we'd always have something else going on, how I'm going to get better, how I'm going to do this, do that. So I was never allowed to dwell on it, but it was a lot of trialing.
So you literally would trial and then you'd go, because I remember you talking about Keith Medlicott being a real mentor of yours.
Yeah.
So you would trial and then you would go back to Keith and be like, right, how am I going to get a yes next time? Or was he the one saying like, right, hard luck, or let's just keep going?
He always used to say to me, I used to get gutted about it. Like the first couple of times I was proper gutted, but then from there it was water off the duck's back. But I remember, and he used to say to me, it's not about being the best 14, 15, 16-year-old cricketer. It's about being the best men's cricketer.
Yeah.
So he literally said, it's not about now, like what are you doing right now? It'd be nice to be doing well, but it's neither here nor there. He said, in a few years' time, that's when you'll have to judge yourself almost.
Yeah, that's when that's a good point. I say that to a lot of young guys at the moment, just because there's literally, I got a text message this morning from a father of a young one of the kids we're coaching, and he's talking about like the position he's playing and where he wants to be, and like I send him back voice notes, and I just said like, look. This is a long drawn out process. This is where he should be, or he should be working towards where he is in 2-3 years time. He's literally 11. He's 11, and it's like you're not going to be out on Adelaide Oval tomorrow. You're not going to be out there in the next 5 years maybe. But if you just keep focusing on the little bits you can focus on right now to get you where you want to be, and I'm a big believer in this. There's a lot said around sort of young people having sort of participation trophies and the win-loss and learning how to win and lose. And I've actually written off winning and losing for the team this year because I'd rather them get better as people, as individuals and as cricketers, than be successful right now and then be turning around when they're 14, when they're sort of in their 20s and being like, you remember that under 14 trophy that I won? Like, no one really.
No, of course you don't.
No one really goes to that.
No one remembers that at all.
No one goes to that. So that's real interesting. That I did not know that about you. I didn't know that you'd done all that trialing and you'd worked away.
Yeah.
Literally down the road.
Yeah.
And then you came down to us.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Which was good.
Yeah. So what do you think was some of the biggest learners you had there when you moved? What was it? I never really asked you this. Like where was your head at when you first moved into the squad, when you were like trialing and then you got a contract?
When I moved, I actually learned quite a big lesson because obviously I was coming from Surrey where I'd never really gotten a game. I used to play that inter-squad to get a few. Like I was just milling around at Surrey. And then I came to Sussex and don't know if it's big-headed or to say I was one of the best players in the academy, like going straight in.
Yeah, it's pretty honest.
Yeah, I was thereabouts.
Good assessment.
Yeah, and everybody was looking over their shoulders, and it was a really hard group of lads at the start to get in amongst because everybody was looking over their shoulders and competition. We had a really strong academy, so competition for spots going forward in the second team were pretty tight. So it was pretty tough to crack in there. So probably one of the biggest lessons I learned straight off the bat was just keep your nut down and just train, do what you want. You can't control whether people like you, don't like you, think this or you think that. You just get your nut down, work as hard as you can, and then if you're good enough, it'll happen.
I think that's one of the things that people forget actually when you turn pro or you get into a professional setup. Like it's so cliched when people say it, like the hard work starts now, but like that actually is that's a cliche for a reason, because you have, like you said, you got people looking over their shoulder. Like, people are looking at you, like trying to chase you down. Whether it's people around your same age as you, you're trying to literally. Even if I look at that academy squad, you had probably 5 or 6 people going for 1 or 2 spots.
Yeah.
So that's reality. Like, and even those 6 people that may be going for that, they're 6 of hundreds that have got to that spot. So you've had that hard work, and then it just amplifies again. And then even when you're in, it's like, right, now everyone's trying to take your contract off you. They're the ones that are trying to actually hunt you down. So it's constantly, you're right, looking over your shoulder, which in my opinion is really tough to create that sort of team culture when everyone's doing that. But the best teams are the ones that actually end up bringing all those people together and doing that.
Oh yeah, I mean,
just pull that sucker up to you. Yeah, that's
there's 2 ways of hello. I reckon there's 2 ways of doing it, like building that winning culture. I think the way you've just said works, and I also think some of the best teams that I've played in haven't been the tightest group of blokes, and they haven't all, been best mates, but what they have done is been honest with each other and pull each other up.
Yeah.
If somebody's not training the right way, or somebody's eating the wrong stuff, or somebody's not crossing the line, the best teams and the best competitors I've played with just pull each other up. Not here to make friends. Yeah. If you want to make lifelong friends, join the army. Like, you will make friends in the game. Of course you will. Everybody knows that. You find people you like-minded people, you crack on with them, you stay in touch. But by and large, it's about winning. So yeah, like, it's 2 completely different sides of the coin, isn't it? And I don't know, I flick between both of them. Everything you were just saying about no winning and losing, just developing as people. But then also it gets to a point where it's no longer about that. It's about winning. What are you putting on the table? Well,
you hope that I think there's just a point, isn't there? There's a point of understanding where you are as a player. Yeah. So knowing where you are as a player, am I in a place where I still need to develop, or am I in a place where I'm comfortable with what I can do? I've got my skill set, and I can just go out there and perform, and I can feel good about it, and trust the process of what you do, and the training that you've done, trust all that, and then go out and do it. I actually remember the first part of my career, I was in a developing stage, but I was trying to be in a performance stage, I think. So I was trying to, bowling very intricate about understanding your body, learning a lot about your body and where you're at, and your skill that you had, and probably trying to develop skills at that level. But I reckon I was at a development level at some stage, and then was trying to force myself into performance zone. And I think if I'd managed that better, I would have been able to say, do you know what, I'm at where I'm at right now, perform to whatever I can, and then I'll come out into training and then work on it where I can and try and develop it, and then go back into performance mode. So I think it's just knowing where you're at for that. I think you just got to know which sort of player you're at, and or what part of your game you're at a certain stage.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. When you travel around the world, like, so now you're playing in loads of different, you're literally about to go to Pakistan and play in Pakistan for 6 weeks. Yeah. So you're playing in not only different teams, but different societies and different countries. How do you manage moving from team to team, country to country, culture to culture, and trying to find a way to play into a certain team's game, and then keeping what you do as Phil Salt, staying with what Phil Salt knows? Yeah.
That is probably one of the more difficult things you have to deal with. Everybody sees the game differently, whether they're, players, coaches, whatever. And you've got to be really careful when you're sort of on the circuit to make sure you don't listen to any garbage advice. Because it's very easy to do it. Everybody always says, oh, no, if you like it, take it on. If you don't, filter it out. Yeah. Sort of a thing. But sometimes it can be really hard to tell. One of my biggest learners I've had in my career so far is that I should do what I do. Yeah. And if somebody wants me to play differently and not get the team off to a flyer and, have slower starts, take less risks, I don't think they understand the value of me in the team. And that might sound quite arrogant, but if you're going to sign me, the flyer I'm going to get you off to. When I get runs, I will win you the game. Like, that's my mentality. Yeah. That's how I think. It doesn't happen every game. It doesn't happen every game for anyone. No. But as soon as you start changing what you do to fit in a different team's game plan, that's when you muddy the waters, and that's when you lose your clarity, in my experience.
Do you ever felt like you'd done that, like where you felt like you were changing what you'd done and you caught yourself and like, nah, come back, or had you felt you'd always been quite strong on that?
I've always been quite strong on it.
Yeah.
I've had one comp in the not so distant past where I didn't back myself in to do what I did so well up to that point. And that is quite possibly the most, I don't know if it's most disappointed I've been, for want of a better word, but it's the most disappointed I've been in myself, because to get here, I've always done what I've wanted to. I've always played the way I wanted to, and that works for me.
Yeah.
So then to change it now, when I finally get here, that is very frustrating.
Yeah.
For me to process.
Yeah, it's not where you want to be. Like, I think you've nailed it on the head where how you've gone about it, where you've stuck to your guns, you've stuck to the process of what you have. I recognise there's some stuff going on at the moment. For people that are listening, there's a concert that's being set up here at Adelaide Oval, so apologies if you can hear some of this, these machines that are going past. But I actually was thinking whilst you were speaking there about moving around the globe essentially, and you're travelling from place to place. And I know, and this is a bit of a curveball that I've thrown out there, a different question that we perhaps weren't going to speak about, but the different cultures of people that you engage with across those different teams. So like, you're going to Pakistan now, and I know you as a person, like, we obviously have a good relationship as friends, and obviously I grew up playing in Barbados, so I know Barbados really well. You're really good friends with Chris Jordan, and I think you're probably one of the most reason I got on with you is because you're one of the most open people to different cultures, and that's what I really love about sport. I love the fact that sport can, and especially cricket, is that you can go into teams and accept different cultures and understand people for who they are, rather than sort of the beliefs that they have, the religion that they have, the culture that they've grown up in, the society they've grown up in. How have you been able to manage being in so many different cultures and managing different people? Or what would be your advice to people that potentially have got multi-cultured sides and different people from different backgrounds?
Probably just talk to people. That would be my only advice, because that's what I do. Like, when I go to PSL, this is going to be my third year at Islamabad, I just seem to have an absolute laugh.
Yeah.
Every year. I don't know what it is, because it's probably the comp where the language barrier is probably the worst, and you know sometimes you don't understand things and are lost in translation. But for some reason, we just, as a group, we just have a laugh non-stop. The overseas guys and the locals. I don't know why that is, but if you talk to people and take the time to understand someone and their background, you'll always have sort of common ground, and you'll always get on with people.
Yeah.
I think when you close yourself off to anybody or don't give people the time of day, I think that's when you're going to find it difficult.
Yeah.
Put time in.
Yeah, it's just such a different mindset to have as well, like to be open to learning from people from different places as well. I remember playing with even like people like Mushtaq Ahmed when I first was a real youngster coming on, learning people from like him and Ron and Avid and like how they did things. But ultimately, at the time, that I'd never really been in a changing room with people from different religions, or I mean, I'm not religious, but like from multiple different religions. And the thing I grew up on was the amount of respect that everyone got for when Mushtaq had to go and pray, and when Rana had to go and pray, and like you just treat people like, what I'm hearing from you is that you're just treating them like the everyday person. You're just treating them like normal, and I think it's really, really just poignant with everything that's gone on in the world right now. Even with the tournament you've just played in the Big Bash, there was a big push on Black Lives Matter at the time, and it was just great to see so many people getting around it. And I know it's something that you find is close to you because of the amount of friends you've got that have probably had injustices to them and have felt that poor side of it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot more could be done
Yeah, for sure.
than just sort of taking a knee. And it's a bit cliched, isn't it? Oh, we need to talk, we need to have open conversations. But I think it's high time that it actually happened.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand it. You know, knowing me, knowing you, I don't understand how you could treat somebody different or talk about someone in another way, or just I don't understand how you can treat somebody any differently because of the color of their skin or their culture. That I struggle to understand at the best of times.
I've actually recognised that, and being in Australia is a real interesting one because we're obviously being in England, it's so multicultural itself. I think my blessing was the fact that I was brought up in sort of multiple different cultures. I had a lot of my Bayesian friends around, and both black, white. We everyone would mingle in, and you exposed to it.
Yeah.
So that I think that's the time. And even over here in Australia, there's a very big lack of exposure.
Yeah.
A huge lack of exposure. So I always recommend to people, like, go and seek out different cultures, go understand them, go speak to them before you throw any sort of judgment onto them, because you'll just find that they're everyday people and they don't deserve to be treated any differently. And I'm exactly the same as you. I can't understand it. Yeah. But again, at the same time, we've been brought up in that place where it is the norm.
Yeah.
It was just an interesting. Just thought of that as we were talking about where you're going and where you're off to. So I'm gonna talk about enjoying your sport, because definitely one thing I know when you first came into the squad is you're one hell of a joker, and like we have a laugh whenever we're together. And again, even if people were watching the tournament, the Big Bash over here, you're mic'd up. You're good fun to have on. It's no coincidence that they're asking you to always put that mic on. How do you find what is that sort of secret for you of finding that sense of enjoyment in what you do? Because I think a lot of people will find that really refreshing, because you can go out there and it can be intimidating. There's no doubt that having 55,000 people in this huge stadium, as amazing as it is, there's going to be a fair bit of anxiety or nerves, and the average person will probably think that. How do you manage that excitement, anxiousness, or and then turn that into having fun and enjoyment?
To be honest, it's never something I've sort of struggled with. Everybody gets nervous, it goes without saying, but like when you actually get out there and you're playing and you're doing something you genuinely enjoy doing, I don't know why you wouldn't enjoy it. I don't know why you wouldn't joke around, like shout something silly, like carry on a bit. And it's one of the great things about sport, I reckon, like that you can do that.
Yeah.
You don't have to go out there and be this boring sort of just vanilla person. You can go out there, have a laugh, crack a joke. You know, if you've got the mic on, say something silly. I think that's one of the best things about sport.
Well, the other thing, and it was again what I learned from being a pro, was it's the entertainment industry.
Absolutely.
You're an entertainer. Like, go out there and entertain, and that can get lost with your own agendas, how you want to do, probably your own perception of yourself, like how you perceive yourself you need to be. I definitely fell into that at some stage. The book I've found fascinating recently, I recommend it to anyone, is Andre Agassi's book, Open. Yeah. My God, well, like that's such a good book for any athlete. I really, really recommend that one, because people saw this guy who was really flamboyant, like he had crazy hairdos, he had crazy clothing, and he was pretty open and honest about it. Well, he said he was being open and honest about what he was feeling, but inside he was actually terrified of everything that was going on. So his thing was kind of like flipping it, being a bit of a rebel. But there will be people that will have that internal dialogue and be crippled by it, and they'll be out in the middle and they'll freeze. And is there something that you do pre-game? Is there some routine that you tell yourself to put yourself at ease of where you're at?
Not particularly. If I am, so the day before with my prep, I try and replicate what I'd face. So, you know, if it's face left armour with new ball, I try and get somebody to chuck left armers at me, or maybe take the stumps out and Cam White could throw around the wicket at me and like imitate the angle of a left armour. I just try and sort of replicate the matchups, and if I'm enjoying it and I'm hitting the ball well, then I've got a smile on my face. That's all I judge myself on really with my prep. It's nice and specific. I'm hitting the ball nice. I'm doing my basics well, more than anything else, and then I'm having a laugh, because it's very easy. As much as I find it easy when everything's going well to have a smile and a laugh when I'm playing, it's also very easy to go insular when it's not going your way. And I don't think that's a case of beating yourself up or feeling down about it. I think sometimes when you're not doing so well, you know, it changes very quickly how people treat you. And it's very easy to, when you're not getting the interviews and you're not getting the post-match press and you're not getting that sort of thing, it's very easy to sort of change your behaviour to sort of try and blend into the background.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's the last thing you should do.
So is there something that you do after a game, after training, that, or mainly after a competition, after a game, that you do, if it hasn't perhaps gone so well, that's going to allow you to continue to go, I'm going to say as hard as you go, but that's as aggressive as you can, because like you're right, like you play an aggressive style, so it could be very easy to have a poor run of performances and then go inside your shell. Is there something that you're telling yourself after the game, whether you're consciously doing it or subconsciously?
I probably subconsciously do it more than anything else. So I normally talk to Mike Yardy.
Oh yeah,
after
okay.
games on WhatsApp. So like if I've played well and got a few runs, I'll say, "Oh, well batted." Like, think you did well, and I'll normally reply back like, "Thanks, mate," and then like, yeah, smack them or something.
Yep.
Like having a bit of a laugh. But then if I've not played well, I'd probably message him saying, "Oh, that was shit, wasn't it?" And then he'll probably say, "Yeah, shit shot," or he'll say, "Nah, actually, good ball," or maybe you could have done this, and then it's done, and then you move on.
Yeah. So there is a bit of a review process there going on.
Oh, there's always a review process. I mean, I write a lot of stuff down in a journal, but it's not an everyday thing.
Yep.
Because it's very easy to get carried away with that and making it this formulaic thing where you box it off every day. I don't think that's the way forward, because I think at some point the novelty does wear off with that.
Yeah.
As good as it is to be in a routine, I think as just like basic human beings, I don't think it's great to have a constant review going on. It's like the old trust the process. Just trust it. Keep doing the same things, but that doesn't mean writing in a diary every single morning about what I'm going to do and what I enjoyed. Like when I feel like I need to do that and recenter almost, I'll do it. But it's not this formulaic recipe for success.
Well, yeah, because you actually probably open up the chance of not giving yourself enough time to actually let something work.
Absolutely.
Because if you I don't know, let's say you change your technique, right? And you just change a bit of your technique, you go into a game, it didn't work, but in practice it's been working. So now if you go to say something like your journal and you're reviewing it constantly, you're feeling like it's not working.
And you're very easy to get carried away, because let's say that does happen and you're smoking them in practice, you change something and you're smacking them in practice, and then you're getting out in the middle. It's not what you've changed. It'll be your mindset.
Yeah.
Why am I not crossing the line?
Yeah.
That would be the only thing I think you could ask yourself.
Yeah, definitely. That's a huge thing I see from young people all the way to professionals. The practice. Well, I fell into this trap. Practice, and you look $1 million. You go into a game, you're slightly off it. I actually took a conversation from our old coach Mark Davis to tell me, going, you do realise you bowl a lot slower in a game than you do in training. And then I recognised that I didn't have a process or a strategy to hold on to I was able to go from training, because I didn't really know what I was doing. I just felt like I was bowling in training and then I was just bowling in a game. But then it was like, no, actually, how am I bowling that I'm bowling in, how I'm bowling in training, and then can I do it in a game? So it was like, focus on a part on the floor, pick a spot on the floor and bowl hard into that. Keep your technique, fine, you've done all the technical work, but just bowl hard into it. So then that's the thing that you can transfer in, because that might be the one thing that is you're forgetting in a game. You're losing yourself in like you said, your mindset. That's tends to be the thing that lets people down, or is the winner. That's the clincher that allows you to have that success. Do you do anything sort of to work on your mindset, or if you feel it's dropping off, or if you feel you're really strong, is there something you do to maintain it?
when I'm playing well, I'm always smiling and having a laugh. So I always try and do that. So I had a hit this morning down at Park 25, and 10 minutes before, I was just trying to make sure I was like having a laugh with the boys and just joking around, because the Redbacks are there playing a practice game. So I went, sat with them, had a laugh, had a joke, and then it just gets me in such a better mindset. Whereas if I was to be one of these guys who went in there all serious and focused 100% of the time, I'd burn out like that. And I know that because I've been there. I know that because I've been there where I've hated the game, and I've thought, why do I hate the game? What am I doing differently? Why am I not enjoying this as much as I used to? And I have to be enjoying it in order to play well.
Yeah, I like how you I love how you talk about enjoyment so much, because it's something that just from seeing you play, it seems to come real easy, but at the same time I think you're aware of how to get to that space. That for a lot of people is going to be a hard thing to be in a bad place and then figure out how to get into that and enjoy it still when you're in a bad place. Like,
I mean, perspective's massive. Perspective massive. Like, you always have to remember what you could be doing. Or, you know, if you weren't there, or, you know, it's a bit of a strange one. I'm not saying think how crap your life could be. I'm just saying, like, you've got it pretty good.
But yeah, gratitude goes a long way.
It's like roof over your head. You ate food, whatever. You've got friends, you've got family, and you're playing sport.
Yeah. Way worse things. Yeah. Way worse things that you could be doing right now. That's
Absolutely.
For sure. Mate, yeah, I think that how you approach the game is refreshing, and it's actually quite interesting to hear you talk about your sort of processes and stuff like that, because it's very easy to watch it on TV and not think that there's stuff that goes in behind the scenes.
Oh, there's heaps. The processes wise, with my batting, me and Yards it was just shy of 3 months work. So we'd only bat. So I was trying to add a more consistent pre-ball routine to my batting. So I'd sort of just I was playing around with one, and I said, right, now this is my routine. This is what feels natural. So this is what I'm going to do. So we did it for 2.5 months, coming up 3 months, indoor school, complete silence, just us, me and him, bowling machine balls in a sidearm. And I'd have to wait. Some days he'd make me wait 40 seconds between balls.
Wow.
Just to breathe. And other days it'd be 5-10 seconds between balls. Like, he'd change it down. So I was perfecting this routine. So I'd step out the box. My bat would be leaning on my right thigh. I'd stand there, sort of hands on hips, fiddle with my gloves, pick the bat up, tap it into my thigh pad, walk into the batter's box, into like the sort of crease, not batter's box, not baseball. Yeah. Right foot, left foot, right foot on my guard of 2, and then I'd look up, look back again, and then I tap the bottom of my bat on the crease 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then I look up again, and then I tap it again, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm ready to face.
So that sounds really tiring. Like, it sounds exhausting.
Do you want me to show you it?
Well,
I can show it to you.
So I know I can understand what you're saying. I can understand it, and I think even people who probably know the game will be able to understand it. But when you're training that, you're really taking yourself to like a far end of that spectrum. So you honing in that process right there to like do it over and over again, over and over, and then make it a subconscious thing. And that would be my first part, that question. So that's what you're doing. You're really
trying to make it subconscious.
But all those different parts that you've worked there with Mike. Yeah. Have you figured those out, or has he helped you give you those? Or has it been a bit of a mix?
I figured them out. He was just said, do something that's natural, and it just sort of developed over time. It took me. We did it for 3 months, just as indoors. It took me, I'd say, just over a year to get it all right all the time.
So do you do that now?
Yeah.
So that's the thing you do. That's your routine.
Yeah.
So you found this solid routine that just felt natural to begin with. You started training it, but Yards has then put you into a place where he's tested you under the like time frames.
Yeah.
So like reduced and lengthened the time frame in between deliveries that you're facing. and then you're doing that repeatedly over. Was there things that you did that didn't work? Were there things?
Oh yeah,
yeah. So
when we started doing it, and he used to take the time all the way to like 45 seconds, it would feel like I'd be stood there for 10 minutes, and it's amazing the places your mind goes to.
Yeah.
And I focused more on my breathing in between, to sort of get rid of that sort of negative self-talk at the time, because I had a bit of a, before Yards was the batting coach, and we got Dizzy over, I didn't have the greatest time at Sussex. I got signed by Mark Robinson, who signed me and then left, and then we got a new head coach who was the assistant, and I never played much first team cricket under him, which I felt I was quite hard done by at the time, but that's how the cookie crumbles. So it was the sort of first time that working with Yards that I had a bit of positivity around me and my game, which was so nice. But because of the experiences I've had, where I used to get sprayed every appraisal, and it was horrible, to be fair.
I experienced that as well.
Yeah, it was
it was tough.
It was horrible, especially as a young lad coming through.
Yeah.
I had a lot of negative self-talk in my head, because I've been told repeatedly by those who are in charge that I was no good.
I mean,
and I need to change this, need to change that.
I had the same thing, and I think that's something that it's a thing that kind of haunts me at the same time right now, where I can't play professionally because I'm in such a good place. I'm so aware of what I do physically. I'm so aware of what I do mentally. I'm so much more confident in my own skin and who I am as a person, because I was constantly being brought down, essentially, and it is by the people that are in charge, and that was a really, really hard place to be in, and sometimes I don't really blame the people essentially that were doing it, because I think sometimes they were actually a product of their environment. Well, that's the thing of what they came up with, and we just happened to be on the transitional period and sports in such a different place now. So for people that don't know, Michael Yardy, who we're talking about, he was one of our teammates. He was my captain for the first few times, but he has a very incredible story about his own journey with mental health. And he's a real inspiration to a lot of it. And funny enough, Yards, and I think this is probably why both of us really get on with him. I used to idolise him. He was one of the players I always wanted to be in the trenches with, just because of the type of person he is. And he was that person who gave that positivity to. I remember I got hit for 22 in my first ever 2020 professional game, and he came up to me at the end of the game and he said, the best player in the world at T20, which was Stuart Broad at the time, got hit for 6 sixes in an over. You're going to be fine. And it just simply it took all the weight of the world off my shoulders and all the negativity, and he just gave you that boost of confidence and that positivity. He's a brilliant man, and he's got a great role back in the UK now, and I think he's going to do a fantastic job. But going back to your process as well, let's shoot back to that. That's really interesting. You've now got that process that you do pre-ball, and is it something you have to revisit sometimes? Do you do that in training?
I enjoy revisiting it. When I have to slow it down now, and I have to think. I don't have to make an effort to think about it, but I enjoy it when I do get to slow it down, because it feels so familiar and so easy. Yeah. As I said, the main thing about getting it was doing it up first was to eliminate a lot of negative self-talk. Yeah. But now I'd probably move to a different stage with it, where now it's all about positivity.
So when you caught yourself, did you used to catch us? I love that training idea of like slowing everything down, really making your mind whirl on it and just bubble over. Yeah. What were the sort of things you were catching yourself saying? What sort of, well, mind you, it depends what you want to say. What sort of things, if you were catching yourself saying something negative, did you then give yourself like a mantra, a phrase, or something to counteract it?
No, it was really strange, because at that point in time I was it's almost like I had a dialogue going on in my own head. Yeah. So it'd be like, you're not good enough, you're shit. I am not. I'm pretty good. Nah, you're shit, mate. Give up. That's it. Obviously not those exact words. No. But in my own head I was there going, I'm mad. Yeah. I was looking around the indoor school. Yards was up there just ready to throw a ball. He was watching his iPhone on a timer by the stumps. And all this stuff's going on in your head, like, yeah, you're not good enough, mate. Like, whatever. You never get this process right. And I'm joking. I'm actually mad. I'm crazy.
Yeah, wow.
And I know that I'm crazy now. Like now I understand that I'm crazy, but it was actually, I would love to watch that back.
Yeah.
And know the exact thoughts going through my head at the time.
Almost have a microphone in your head.
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
God, like, yeah, I think that's so powerful for people that are listening, just to know that sometimes just slowing down, giving yourself the space to think about. And obviously, you know that I'm very big fan of mindfulness and meditation, and that's what that allows you to do. That is literally, and I'd love to speak to Yards about this, because it's almost what you're doing. You're just giving yourself the time to allow yourself to be with your own thoughts for a minute and literally recognize how mad they are. And that's the thing that meditation allows me to do as well. It's the fact that I can sit there and go, oh my God, that's what I'm thinking. And that's the point. I think that's sometimes the point that people get when they're with their own thoughts, is that you hate them. You hate yourself. You think like, why? Or you want to push them back. You want to get rid of them. You want to move them to one side. But recognizing that all it takes is just you to listen to it. Just listen to what you're saying, and then you can make a decision. You can 100%. Make a decision on, do I choose to dwell on that, or do I choose to actually go, hold on a minute, no, I am pretty good. Yeah. I am here for a reason. I'm a pro for a reason. I've got this far for a reason. I have some ability. I have some skill. And that just first instant is listening. Yeah. Listening to your own inner dialogue. That's a really cool little bit that you're doing.
And there's like is it, in my mind, my experience, you could be a completely different stance on this, but there's organic ways of doing it and there's forced ways of doing it. So like I use Headspace a few times a week wherever I need to fall asleep. If I'm just not falling asleep, whatever, if I need to do it, I'll do that just to chill out a bit. But I used to try it in the day or in the morning or whatever, but I found it would never work because it was forced, and I was trying to force it. Whereas if I could go and take myself away for like a coffee at Bang Bang on Hindley Street, and I could just sit there with a coffee and watch people go past, that would be enough for me, if that makes sense. I could have my time to sort of process and what I'm thinking, and you know what I'm going to do going forwards and all the rest of it. And then I'd also watch a few people, realize, I mean, there's some, you know, I'm pretty lucky. You can have that sense of perspective again.
Yeah.
There's a few battlers knocking about here. Yeah. People wearing, you know, like full United kits and all sorts of stuff like that. They've got to be in shocking nick mentally.
Says a Man City fan.
Yeah. So just, as soon as you see people like that, you sort of everything just simmers down a bit.
Yeah, I know. But that's true. Like you get a lot of people. You say like, "Do you do meditation? Do you do mindfulness?" And they're like, "Nah, I go and take my dog for a walk in a quiet forest, and that's usually what I call meditation." I'm like, "Yep, you're doing it. You're actually doing it.
That is it.
Like you've got it. You're with your thoughts. You've literally got rid of distraction. You're being very present, and you're on it." That's the same. Like I think as well, the point of not forcing it. There's some days where I just think I'm trying to put myself to like say meditate in the morning. Right? I'm not a massive advocate for always having to meditate the same place at the same time. You can do it. It can be for that one person who needs to be routined and to do it all the time. But I'm actually one that is kind of like, well, what happens if I'm due to do a 7 o'clock, 6 a.m. meditation, but mum rings me up and says, can you take me to the airport really early? Yeah. Am I going to say, sorry, mum, got to sit down and meditate? Or can I just move it and go, well, I'll find it somewhere else in my day. I'll find it in something else that I'm doing. And it's a practice that I'm really surprised that we actually got onto this subject, and it's really nice and refreshing to hear that you are actually doing something like that. And I think it just shows that more people giving this time and effort into looking at your mind and seeing how it functions can actually be the tipping point for you getting onto success and unlocking really everything that you're trying to achieve.
Oh, it always is. It always is. Like, and you can bring that straight back to cricket. If I'm not hitting balls well, I will always go back to my mindset. I will go to my mindset 99 times out of 100 if I'm not hitting balls well. But then if I'm not unless it's like a obvious technical flaw, I won't go to technique often, because I mean, in my head, this is what I need to get right. I need to have a solid base. My eyes need to be level so I can judge the ball well, and I need to be still. And then if my mindset's right and I'm giving it a full crack, I'll hit the bad ball and keep the good one out. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I can get that clean, repeatable process and that thought pattern, then when it comes good, it will really come good.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate. This has been wicked. I've gone through everything that I want to talk
What
about.
The questions from Stu.
Well, no, we won't talk about the questions. Stu Whittingham, a former teammate of ours, asked. I put out some questions on Instagram, and he came back with some. Well, let's talk about the cat. Let's quickly talk about the cat.
Okay, Sergio.
So Sergio, but he had a different name, Tail.
Sergio's tail's called Stanhope.
Yeah.
It's a reference to some random fellow who's in the trenches in World War One.
Wow.
Sergio often talks to Stanhope the tail. I hope this goes in the real podcast.
This will go in the podcast. I mean, Stu was a former teammate of ours, a good roommate as well. When I used to run with him, I had so much fun with him, and he's a good guy, Stu. But God, he gave me some questions that were just so left field.
Surely we have some questions, do we not?
From Stu?
No, from anyone.
We've covered them. Yeah,
Is that it?
them. Yeah, so I asked you about the one was really about your mental routine, which we've gone into it, and you going through your mental routine, which was massively covered that.
Fair play.
For sure.
Is that a jeans or a trousers guy?
Thanks,
Stu.
So again, Stu,
I'm probably
jeans
more
or
of
a trousers
guy. Skinny trousers with a sort of like cuffed bottom. That way you can wear any sort of funky socks you want, and even your New Balance dad trainers.
Yeah.
Can you remember any more?
No, the best headbutt.
Oh, the best headbutt. We actually probably can't talk about that.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, we'll leave it there. Mate, this has been awesome. What a venue to do it. That was amazing to be able to talk about some of that stuff, mate. And I appreciate everything that you're giving the time to find some space in the busy schedule that is Phil Salt's schedule right now. And good luck in Pakistan coming up. It's going to be a fun 6 weeks, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a belter. Cheers,
mate.